So I guess when the mum reached out, she was having quite severe anxiety, to the point she'd been to a few different specialists, and they had basically told her that she had one more chance to find, a way to help G recover, or they'd have to, they believe that they'd need to talk about going on medication and things like that. And mum really was looking for a way not to go down that path. So she heard about me from a neighbour that lives in my street. She's a friend of hers, and she just said, why don't you give Sharon a call? So G came. And I distinctly remember when she came, we at that point, I was sitting on the floor with the kids, we had a rug down and we'd just sit on the floor and do it that way. So she was sitting there, and I just remember a little head right down. And to me, I thought it was kind of like, it was so obvious she'd been through this before. So the head was down and she was just rattling off everything that was wrong with her, and, all the hard stuff she was going through. And
how old is she, Sharon?
At the time, she would have been seven.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
going close to 8. To 8. Yeah. So yeah, and so then I took a bit of a different approach with her. I let her talk, but then I also gently sort of told her that, we're going to change the way you think about all those things. We don't need to sort of rehash everything that's wrong. We can just, take little bits of it and rethink about different ways we can think about this. So I guess with G, because the things were so, she did have a lot of anxiety going on. It was one step at a time. So breaking it all down, let's deal with this thing first and we'll get some results there. And then that built her confidence to tackle the next big thing. So it was like, let's just tackle in small chunks, start with the small one.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. She struggled with even going out for dinner with her parents, didn't matter whether her mum was there or not, she would still have anxiety around, going out to dinner. I remember a time a mum wanted to go to Canberra and had to turn around and come back because G was just freaking out about going to Canberra. So they didn't end up going. So
it really had an impact on
bad.
the family.
Yeah. And every day going to school was the same. She just, horrible.
Did you use the intake form with the parent, or
Definitely.
did you just listen to and that helped you understand what was going on?
Yeah, absolutely. I always do the intake forms. So, I talk to the parent first, but before they come, they sign the coaching agreement and they fill out the intake form, even after I've spoken to them, just so I can get it in writing. I tend to find they can go a little bit deeper when they're writing about what's going on. So, and then that's good for me to read before they come here and have a good solid grounding of what's happening.
And how did you do like a 5-week, 6-week coaching package, or what kind of solution did you offer?
I always do a 6-week program to start with, because, it's just like if I say come in one session, well, she might get something from that session, but it's not going to be the long-term result. So I always do this 6-week program, and I generally always start with the mind, because I do find, and I know Renee says the same, that forms the basis of all the other programs. And it's amazing, just even that first story about, the conscious, the subconscious mind, and how that works. That's probably the most impactful story. I don't know if it's because it's the first time they've been introduced to the concept, or if that is actually the most powerful story, because that one just is really good, the very first one. So
that's the Who's Flying Your Plane, isn't it?
Yeah.
And did she have a favorite story or activity that you all did together that seemed to kind of wake her up a little bit?
Yeah, neural pathways seem to really have an impact with G, because of anxiety. I mean, she was getting all those, feelings that if you haven't grown a neural pathway. So it gave her some understanding of why she was feeling the way she was, like, for the Canberra example, for instance. So she hadn't been to Canberra before, or she hadn't been to this place where they were going to go before. So it was unfamiliar to her. So the feeling she was getting, she now could say, oh, well, this is normal. It's okay that I feel that way. There's nothing wrong with me. So being able to identify that and you know, why she was feeling those ways was a huge thing for her, because now she could start to push herself a little bit more, going, okay, I don't feel good, but I know it's okay. And I know if I keep practicing, I'm growing a neural pathway. So having that visual of, you know, this is growing a neural pathway was huge for her.
Yeah.
So,
And did you do any type of activity for her to visually or experience what a neural pathway was like? Or was it?
We did. We talked about, well, we actually have a picture of the head, and she would come up with something that she would like to accomplish. And I'd ask her how big did she think her neural pathway was? And we'd actually each week draw it getting a little bit bigger. So we had some neural pathways that were already, you know, we talked about things that she was really good at. So we show, you know, put on the really long neural pathways. We were sticking them on with like, you know, paper and glue onto the picture of the head. So
great.
Sometimes they were short pieces of paper, sometimes they were bigger, but each week in whatever challenge she had, I would ask her again, how long do you think your neural pathway is? Is it still got a way to go, or has it grown, do you think? So she would tell me, and we'd stick it on, and each week she'd see it growing.
I think you mentioned that she also had a lot of anxiety about school. Is that right?
Very much so.
So what's happened? What's her school experience? Yeah.
She's amazing now. Her mum was actually a bit teary. I remember the first day, just all of a sudden, she just went off by herself into the school, which was just unheard of. Like, she was so clingy to mum, like, you know, crying to the point that the teachers would have to take her to a separate room to let mum leave, you know, give her time to calm down and stuff. So yeah, it was a big deal every single morning going to school. But yeah, she just started to do it little bit by little, getting better. And then one day she just, mum, I can do it, I'm going to go. So then, you know, after that, she started to walk to school. So, you know, she was just so keen to, you know, tackle the next thing. So she did all the work, really. So she was just very keen to get through what she was going through and to tackle the next challenge that come up. And she's done amazing. Like, yeah.
It sounds like she had one little victory and realized that, oh, okay, this neural pathway thing is real, and if I can do it here, I can do it there. And she just kind of built on success. That's Is that what you observed?
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So, you know, to the point, I mean, it's probably been, I don't know, 9 months to 12 months since I've had her here. I do talk to her on and off. But just in this Christmas school holidays, she spent a week in Melbourne with her cousin. So
by
without
herself.
a mum. Yeah, by herself, without a mum.
That is incredible.
So how does that make it is.
How does that make you feel as a coach, as her coach?
I'm just like, it's just amazing. It's amazing to know that I've been able to, you know, help in that way. I do believe that mum and Angie did a lot of the work, you know, like they put in the effort to get her there. But yeah, just knowing that I was able to give them the tools to do that, it's really humbling. Yeah.